Hey guys, what's up? My name is Anthony, and welcome to another edition of B&A Sports Talk. And today, I want to talk about the Carolina Panthers rebuild, because I think it's very interesting here. You know, they went to the Super Bowl in 2015, but ever since then, it's kind of been down. You know, they fired Ron Rivera in this past year. David Tepper wants to bring in his new analytics. They hired Matt Rhule to a long contract. And I want to break all that down. If you're a Carolina Panthers fan, definitely do let me know whether I'm right, wrong, your own inputs here, because I don't watch every single Carolina Panthers game. I've watched like 2 this year, highlights of them. But yeah, so definitely do let me know. But without further ado, let's just begin. So first of all, Matt Rhule. He signed the 7-year, $60 million deal. That's no problem to Tepper. He's worth $11 billion. If the franchise gains, $100 million, $200 million, which is usual for this time, the NFL franchises seem like they're getting money, getting more value year after year. It doesn't really matter. Matt Rhule, obviously he was a big gamble. And, hedge fund manager, that's who he is. Matt Rhule, I've done some research about him and what he likes. He likes pass-catching running backs, which is like a new wave. Christian McCaffrey, he's a pass-catching running back. You may need another one of them because he likes them so much. The one thing the Panthers don't have is a running back. Christian McCaffrey far exceeded the rush yards of anybody else. Their next highest guy, I think, was Kyle Allen with pass rush yards. I was looking at the list. And their wide receiver is number 3. They drafted Jordan Scarlett last year, but he hadn't really had much action. I'm not sure if he was injured or what happened, but either way, they really haven't had much production from their running backs. It was a lot of rookie things and just dumping off to Christian McCaffrey. That was a large portion of their season here. They've done a really good job with getting wide receivers, which is helpful with Matt Rhule. He likes running a quasi-Chip Kelly spread offense. Wide receivers go to the side. A lot of motions and stuff like that. Tight ends. Greg Olsen's going to be great for it. But is he going to want to run across the field the entire game? He's not getting any younger. They drafted a tight end in last year's draft, but yeah, I don't think he's performing up to snuff. Again, Carolina Panthers fans, let me know. I don't know these names off the top of my head, but I know Greg Olsen. He's been steady, but he's no George Kittle. He obviously that's a that's a high bar to set up to. But I think you guys understand what I'm saying here. With Matt Rhule, a key thing to remember is that he had to adapt his offense to a lot of what his talent was, which I think is pretty important, because when he came into these systems, he didn't have control of the personnel, but now he does, and that may get to his head. He may end up like the next Chip Kelly. I mentioned his name before because the offense he tried to run is kind of like Chip Kelly, a West Coast style, but Chip Kelly had success. What if the Carolina Panthers have success in their first year? Success would be like 8-8, 9-7, especially with this roster, which has a long way to go, by the way. But what if he has some success, gets to his head, and all of a sudden he's picking his guys? All of a sudden he's like, oh, this guy will fit my scheme. I know what I'm doing. Then all of a sudden, it doesn't work. We saw it with Chip Kelly and how it could rub the team the wrong way. But he's in here for a while. He and Chip Kelly signed long-term deals. Chip Kelly was like 6 years, $30 million. With Matt Rhule, obviously 7 years, $60 million with some incentives. So that may get to Matt Rhule's head. He had a lot of success in Baylor and Temple, but NFL is different. Does his personality rub people the wrong way? We already seen some questionable things. He was on vacation when he was trying to interview. Then he lied and said the Giants is the only job he'll take. And then all of a sudden he took the Carolina Panthers job. Does that rub people the wrong way? Can he gain respect in this locker room? And it's going to be very important. It's a long deal. Now let's move on to Marty Hurney, who's their GM, if you didn't know. He had a little stint with the Carolina Panthers from 2002 to 2012 before he was fired. Dave Gettleman took the job, and now he's back. And he hasn't really done a good job with drafts. He really hasn't. He's hit, and the Carolina Panthers in general have hit with their top guys. Dave Gettleman drafted Christian McCaffrey, obviously. Marty Hurney did hit with the guys. I think he drafted guys like Thomas Davis, Luke Kuechly in his first stint. I think also Greg Olsen, those types of guys. But recently, hasn't really been that good. You give these guys time to develop, I guess. But no, it hasn't really been good. And you need to draft guys in order to be successful in this league. Because then you start spending money in free agency because of the lack of drafts, and then everything just falls apart. You may have 1 year of success, kind of like the Giants, but you need to draft well. I've seen that with the Giants. The Giants drafted Evan Ingram. They drafted Eric Flowers. They drafted Eli Apple. And, we're suffering now because of that. And now you have a couple of good drafts. All of a sudden you get some Darius Slaytons in the 5th round. Then all of a sudden you get successful. They drafted DJ Moore in the 1st round. Brian Burns looks great. He does. He looks really good. He's probably a top 10 player. Oh, not 10 player. A top 10 rookie in the league. So that's important. You have to hit on your top guys. But they really haven't solved the defensive tackle position. Now, what do you do with that 7th pick? You have Derek Brown there, who is probably top 3 prospect coming into the draft before the year started. I think his stock fell a little bit. Do you try to get a ferocious defense? Or do you go for a quarterback? That's a big question that they have to answer. Cam Newton, his play style somewhat works with the system and the RPO, but is he going to stay healthy? Is he going to be that solid rock for 1 more year? Or do you want to get some assets for him because it is the last year of his contract? You can get a 3rd, potentially 2nd round pick for Cam Newton from a team like the Chargers, who are already fairly talented by themselves. What do you want to do? Kyle Allen has proven he's not really that good. Will Grier looks awful. So you have a question at quarterback now. I don't think Tom Brady or somebody like that would want to do some patchwork. Maybe Phillip Rivers comes in. He's like, I'll take it a year or 2. But he's not. It is a rebuilding project. It's going to be going on for years and years. I don't think Phillip Rivers, with his 9 kids, is going to want to move all the way across to Carolina. So Phillip Rivers is in kind of a hole. I made separate videos about where these players should go. But, the Carolina Panthers, they have a question at quarterback here. Do they try to go late rounds again? Kyle Allen, undrafted. Will Grier, 3rd round. And, they haven't really hit with their draft picks. Dante Jackson, who they drafted 2 years ago, a cornerback, he already got benched. He posted a 55 PFF grade. You have James Bradbury, I think his name is, cornerback, who he's going to command a lot of money in the offseason. We already seen Tepper is not afraid to spend money on people, but I'm not too sure about that. He posted a 60 PFF grade. It's not like he's not an elite guy. It's not he's like Richard Sherman as he was in his heyday. You need to be able to draft well, and that's what built dynasties like the Seattle Seahawks, who they continue to draft well. They got DK Metcalf last year. They drafted Chris Carson. Rashad Penny was obviously a miss. But Bobby Wagner, drafted by them. Earl Thomas, I think Cam Chancellor as well. All drafted by the Seahawks, and you don't have to spend guys like that in free agency. We know that. That's common sense. You have to be able to draft well. And in the second stint, Marty Herney hasn't really drafted guys that have been that good. Rashawn Golden, Ian Thomas at tight end hasn't really played that well. If you take a look at Ian Thomas, he started all 32 games, 460 yards, 3 touchdowns. And this year he only posted 1 touchdown and played all 16 games. Kendrick Norton, who they drafted a defensive tackle, albeit 7th round, not playing. In 7th round isn't really that important anyway. But you take a look at the 2019 draftees. Brian Burns, good. Greg Little out of Ole Miss, he hasn't really played that great. The offensive line is getting worse and worse. And with the NFL, you don't really have that much of a talent advantage over the other team. And plus, it may be hard to implement your scheme. Again, Matt Rhule has been able to adjust as he's been on different teams and different systems. And obviously, they like to run their quarterback a lot. Kyle Allen ran a decent bit, not really a lot. And who's Baylor's quarterback? It was like Charlie something. He was injured in the past couple of weeks, and they weren't able to establish a run with a quarterback, and they weren't successful. So maybe you even keep Cam Newton another year. These are all questions that they have to ask. Again, if I were them, my solution would be 7th pick, you get your defensive tackle in Derek Brown, you take the obvious pick here, and you take best player available, because that's the only way you need to go about it. You don't need to answer with the quarterback position. Matt Rhule has time. He does have time, and next year there are a plurality of quarterbacks, and even you can get a long-term project in Jordan Love. You can get a long-term project maybe in Jake Fromm in the 2nd round. I'm not sure if Jake Fromm is going to fall the 2nd round, but you could still get a long-term project like that, or you could trade back. Just accumulate talent, because this roster has a lack of talent right now. They're not that great. I don't think they had a single Pro Bowler this year except Luke Kuechly. So that's very important for them. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy this video. Again, if you're a Panthers fan, and I made no complete sense, because again, this is based off like a day of research. I haven't really watched that much film. Definitely do educate me. What do you guys think? Again, comments below. I'll be in there. I'll be responding. Educate me, whatever. It should be fun. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.